The afterlife. The land of deafening silence, boundless eternity, and broken dreams. The road is a lonely one. Most souls will sit solitary, stagnant, alone in their shock, wondering if their lives were worth it, or not. But one man will rise from his precarious spot and put on a show few will ever forgot. Forget. Hickory, hit it! So tonight, live for the first time in living color, it's The Frank Show. And now, here's your host, Franklin Pierce.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. Welcome to The Frank Show. Whatever nation, universe, or millennia you're tuning in from, it is an honor to have you here. The world's still turning wherever you may be, but I'm still in 1869, the year I kicked the can. Now with that in mind, just two little housekeeping things before we get this train running. I understand in this day and age we got all sorts of gadgets and gizmos, so I'd ask that you please refrain from using your pocket watches, typewriters, and Morse code machines during the show. We're in a soundless void, after all. So if it's got gears and sockets, just put them in your pockets. Also, in case we start having a little too much fun here tonight and things get a little too rowdy, feel free to use the exits near you. And while you're at it, would you mind showing me where they are? I've been here a long time and still can't find them. But that's all the business I've got outside of this little business we call show. Did I mention we've got a nice crowd here tonight? No? Well, there. I said it. You know, honestly, I wasn't sure if people would come. Especially for a guy just starting out doing all this solo. Not entirely solo. I've had a lot of help from that young stud over there. Everyone give a very warm whinny to my trusty steed, Hickory. Hey now, coming out swinging, I see. You know, he gives me a hard time, but underneath that messy old mane of his, there's a heart of gold. Ain't that right, my equine partner in crime? More stallion smack talk, I see. But fret not, folks. His bridle's worse than his buck. Well, Hickory, if you can pardon my expression, it's good to be back in the saddle, folks. In the public eye. Remember me? Okay, you know what? Don't answer that. It was a test, and y'all passed. My name is Franklin. Franklin Pierce. But all my friends call me Frank, so please, call me Frank. This is my vocation now, folks. I make people laugh. I mean, you don't have to, but now that I've asked, I have the moral high ground and you feel guilty, so, gotcha. All I'm asking is that you don't tune out. Not until you know me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a little more about yours truly. So, where do we begin? How about you? A chilly November morning in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, 1804. My birthplace. And in that house, I, as many do, slid out of my mother wailing into the world. The doctor took one look at me and said, I think he's going to be a strong, silent type. I'm still a lot like my infant self. My smile's cute, I don't sleep, and I start crying if you take away my bottle. Safe to say, I never had any trouble making my voice heard. Ooh, neither did he. My father, a former brigadier general and governor of our fine Granite State, not to mention a sheriff, a successful bar owner, and diligent father to 7 children. Talk about a complete failure. A lot to live up to in my family. My elder brothers were already fine, accomplished young men, but there I was off skipping school. So my father sent me away to a school I couldn't skip. The Phillips Exeter Academy, followed by the prestigious Bowdoin College. My best friend there, a little guy named Nathaniel Hawthorne. Yeah, name drop. Hickory, did you ever read The Scarlet Letter? Well, to each their own, I guess. Against all odds, I graduated 5th in my class. My study method? Spending more time at the bar than the library. But it's not my fault. I've been drinking since age 7, thanks to Dad's tavern. Daddy issues. They're a real thing, folks. Affects all of us. Having daddy issues is like having diarrhea. Nobody wants to admit they have it, but at some point, it all has to come out. But I'm cutting back on the drinks. Hick here holds me to it. He may be a horse, but he's got the eyes of a hawk. Safe to say it's just water for me now, folks. After school, I set off to become a lawyer. A good one, mind you. It suited my skills as a naturally silver-tongued orator, and given that I was a bit of a bad boy in my younger days, it helped me in the courtroom. Objection, Your Honor. Publicly peeing off a barn onto a covered wagon is not illegal if the barn is zoned as a private domicile. If anything, these young lads should be applauded for the remarkable planning and skill it takes to execute. Well, how do I know it's difficult, Your Honor? Because I used to do the same thing every single Sunday, and I'm not going to stop until their urinary rights are upheld. See? But it was all a stepping stone. I was young. I wanted more. So it was off to the state legislature, then the House, then the Senate. I was on my way. To where, you asked? Mexico. Washington was burdensome and boring, and the war down there seemed like a perfect excuse for a little fun in the sun. I got to be a brigadier general like my dad and get the vitamin D I was sorely lacking. I was even paler back then, if you can imagine the horror. I looked like a vampire who only drank milk. In Mexico, my troops won every battle I commanded. Except my own battle against the stomach flu. Talk about dishonorable discharge. Sorry, folks. Victorious and kind of tan, I returned home. To her. My lovely wife, Jane. She and I had 3 beautiful boys, but they're a little camera shy. If you're expecting a big punchline here, don't hold your breath. I try to keep family out of my routine. But it's hard not to feel the temptation. My wife and I were very different people, after all. She was an introverted Republican who prayed each evening to God, and I was an extroverted Democrat who prayed each evening to my God, Jim Beam. I miss my boys very much. Which is why I make every attempt to ensure that this is a family show. No, not easy in this line of work, but you never know who could be watching. I don't think they are, but... Did I mention we're near some train tracks? I apologize, but this is all I can get. You know, it's not much, but It's something. Cramped but cozy, just how we like it. You won't believe what the real estate market's like here. Sorry, he hates when I get off script. Where was I? Oh, yes, home. Family life, the lawyer life. Times were good. And then, the United States of America. Yes! Woo! Thank you. And it was, pretty cool. Job lifetime, didn't think. And now, I'm dead. Oh! Hey! There's another one. I guess they're running double time tonight. So, death. It's a certainty. Is it dark? Yes. Is it solitary? You betcha. Is it eternal? Oh, baby. But it has its benefits, especially when you realize that so much of life is just kind of, working and cleaning and seeing your in-laws. Ooh, it's a lot of those. Oh, and the bureaucracy. It's horrible. One time I had to renew my horse-drawn carriage license, and the line was so long I brought a tent. Well, luckily, you don't have to worry about that here. Or about the other certainty of life, taxes. It's funny how some people spend their entire lives fearing death, yet somehow taxes are the most painful part. But you heard it from me. If you can get through the death part, you get to live out here tax-free. Eternity is persistent, but so is the IRS, and they're not here, so count your blessings, right? Count your blessings. But I understand why people are sensitive about it. A lot of uncertainty in this certainty we call death. Just keep an open mind, I say. Now, I'm finding a way to reinvent myself here. At least I'm attempting to tonight. Because I do know that if you spend your whole eternity wallowing in the fact that you no longer exist, then you'll really feel dead. And right now, I feel more alive than I ever have. So, while we're feeling alive, I want to keep things as current as can be. As I was dying, we were on the precipice of a new decade, knee-deep in the Reconstruction era. I hope everyone brought their hammers and nails, because our nation looks like this. Like a china shop after the bull came through. With the South in shambles, the northern industries are failing, leaving us with an economy more volatile than the mood swings of an 11-year-old girl. That's led to high rates of poverty, with food lines longer than the Oregon Trail. And with the sharp increase in migration, racial tensions are higher than a kite on an opium binge. Oh, and let's not forget about this guy. That's our most recent commando-in-chief who just got himself impeached. Despite being a former tailor, he evidently could not sew the country back together. So, that's our State of the Union. Remember when I said being dead wasn't so bad? Now, in case you've been sailing the Pacific or off being bohemian in Europe or, dead, you might be wondering how the heck all this happened. Well, there was a civil disagreement. One could call it a war. Okay, let's call it a war. A big war. But we weren't fighting another nation. We were fighting, us. Like that thing the kids like to do when they hit you with their own hand and say, and once again, you might be wondering, well, how did that happen? Well, it's not an issue of black and white. Okay, well, actually, it kind of is, but it's complicated. No one person can be responsible for all that death and destruction. They couldn't be, even if they deserved it. You know, woo! Okay! I did it! It's all out there. You know me. Shall we move on? Because there's someone I'd like to talk about.